Hello, and welcome to our panel, Tech Talks Unplugged. I'm very happy to be today with my dear guests and friends and colleagues from IT and digital industry in Serbia, Croatia, and totally this great region of ours. And at the beginning, I would like to tell you who I have a great occasion to speak with today. So my guests today are Dr. Dušanka Perišić. She's a full professor of mathematics at the University of Novi Sad. And my dear colleague from Digital Serbia Initiative, Mr. Nebojša Bjelotomić. He's SEO and one of the founders of the initiative. Then our Helena Matuša, she's a managing director at the Entrepreneurial Center at Krapina, Zagorje County. And a little bit later, our fourth speaker will join us. It's Miss Mirjana Trobok. She's delivery director from Levi 9, developing company in Novi Sad. So it's a great opportunity to have such distinguished professionals here today that took some time in their busy schedules to talk today with us about some great concept that is uniting all of us in the region, and that is IT industry in the broadest sense, and developing industry that is changing our daily life and daily work, and that is changing the business landscape of Serbia, Croatia, total region, and the whole worldwide. So each of our speakers today will speak from their own experiences about the challenges, but also about the great experiences they have in their careers. And since we are all very busy and we are all traveling very much, so today our dear guest Nebojša is also planning a business trip, so we have this pleasure to have him on a call for like 30 minutes. So I would like very much to start this conversation with him. Nebojša, hello and welcome.
Hello, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for a chance to talk on this panel.
Okay, great. It's always a pleasure to have you as a guest, since you are very much involved in digital industry in our region, and as I like to say that you are sitting on a pile of data. That is how I imagine your among all other things, your daily job. So I would like to enlighten now the conference Splat Tech that was held in Belgrade just a week ago, and it was really nice. And I'm starting with that because Digital Initiative is one of the organizers and the founders of the conference. It gathered a lot of dozens of people in Belgrade, and you had like over 60 lectures during that day. So I would like you now to tell us a little bit more about the key points of the conference, because it is very much connected to our theme today, especially about what is the situation with the startup ecosystem in Serbia.
So apologies for having to bail out early. There is a really cool event afterwards in Sarajevo that I need to travel to. But back to Splat, and thank you for your kind words. We managed to have more people than last year, which should be success. And in that sense, we are very, very happy. And we had like 2,500 people walk through the event that had over 100 presenters on 9 different stages. And let's say that I will separate what I'm talking about Splat in messages and what it seems very obvious at this point about the stage of ecosystem. So messages are that we had a great success and great run generally as a region regarding IT. Number of the programmers increased. Bubble is spreading, the bubble that we IT people are living. We are managing to include other non-tech people in it, but there is obvious need to stay competitive. We need to continue climbing in the value chain of industry. So we need to look further into how the artificial intelligence is going to develop. We need to look at the bioinformatics, biotech side of things. So some, let's say, edges of this general IT that is right now being, let's say, the beauty of the day in terms of VC interest, money being poured in it. So we need to move towards that as well, and follow with the technology and our knowledge and domain expertise in this area. So that those are the messages of let's say key speakers in general. Let's say the analysis of the state of the ecosystem tells us that, okay, we got a bit better in applying for financial support and financial, let's say, funds.
Sounds,
I think that I haven't seen even a medium pitch that in the last year or so. All of them are crisp, on time, asking for the right things, telling the right information. But the next stage is about scaling up and internationalization. So once somebody invests in all these startups, they need to grow fast. Growing fast in our region is not big chance. I mean, there's there's a lot of limitations, starting with population and then the economical development. So startups needs to internationalize, and startup needs to grow quickly. And those are difficult things to do. Those are maybe the most difficult things to do. And let's say these are directions that a lot of startups is taking, especially the ones who already took the seed money. In order to get to Series A, especially in present circumstances, they need to show significant growth and capacity to navigate international borders.
yeah, well, like in every other industry, we need to grow as much as we can, so that we can have some kind of a recognition in the international sphere. But would you agree with me if I would say that actually we made quite a big jump as an industry and as a community in past like 10 to 15 years? I mean, I'm in digital media business for now over 17 years, and totally in media over 20. And I've seen the transformation from print dominance of print media to now totally dominance of digital media. And I can only imagine the dominance and the quick steps that software development made. But would you agree with me that also in terms of startups in Serbia, we actually had this kind of jump, and we never stopped jumping higher?
Yeah, well, I mean, as my gray beard attests, I remember times like almost like a quarter centuries ago, or these 10, 15 years that you mentioned. So in parallel, we had two developments. One was service industry, outsourcing, as they don't like to be called. And
Yeah.
these guys been growing for 20 years uninterruptedly. And they're the major contributor to these 100,000 people who are doing IT in Serbia these days. And the export is unbelievable, and so on and so on. Startups had a start go line. So we started on time when the rest of the Europe is into it. End of 2000s, so around 2010, we had the first push. Now, unfortunately, that 2008 SECA came to our region with a lag. It came to 13, 14. It was like the heaviest we felt it in Serbia. And that stopped in track the startup development. It started again back in maybe 16, 17. And then COVID kind of gave it unbelievable boost. Until COVID, we can talk about maybe 200 to 300 startups in Serbia in total. This morning, we concluded that our internal database in Digital Serbia contains 583. That's what we have right now. And we have like internal rule that whatever we have, most likely some 15 to 20% we cannot track, because they are either too young or they don't want to be seen or so on. So even though we've been talking for last half a year or most of this year that in Serbia there is about 600 startups, I think we can in the fourth quarter start talking about probably around 700 or even more startups, which is, if like when I was preparing for Splat, all the data from like how internet starts throwing at you things from whenever you mention anything. So the numbers in 2022 where we were talking, okay, we are 500, we need to double, we need to go to 1,000. Now a year later we can say we are at about 700 and we are going strong. What is even more interesting, In our offices, this year alone, we had now almost 15 different VCs having office hours with the startups. VC
Uh-huh.
industry is following the region, which is the most important thing, because without financial support, there is no really good startup ecosystem. So that has contributed. And then in the same time, with all the successes that these early startups started having in raising the seed money, we start seeing a lot of initiative to broaden the appeal and to influence the startups to grow even further. So we have science technology parks who have great programs, innovation fund that has great programs, and people are participating. Just yesterday, talking to my colleague from Niš who runs science and technology park there, he told me very proudly, we have 9 out of 40 applicants for Kickstarter, one of the programs innovation fund, and
Great.
for raising starts, they have about 40. So these are about 50 fresh startups who are in the phase of ideation, because these programs are for that. And they are hopefully going to come with some product MVP beginning of next year, so we can follow them further. But we're talking only about niche, 50 new startups. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I can tell you from the source of the information that I don't know, 5 6 years ago, when we had some stories about startups, on business pages,
Mhm.
on economic pages, on in our media, it was so interesting. So, but today, every time we have some good story on Euronews or Bloomberg or in every media, I mean the serious one, it's very interesting to the audience. We can see that by our analytics measurement, and we see that people are really now catching this story, and they see that this whole thing called startups, which includes a lot of things that can be built up in 1 year, is really our strength. And this is something that I would like now to connect with Dušanka, dear colleague from Novi Sad and a great professor, because she is teaching young people that are maybe now thinking about raising some new idea and starting some startup, or they will do that in 2 3 or 5 years. So Dušanka, you are you are witnessing the first phases in the lives of young people, young mathematicians and engineers. And can you tell us what are how is your one typical day when you are teaching and giving your knowledge to future students? What can you tell us? What will happen in 10 years from now with these guys?
Okay, so before I answer to that question, I would like to continue to Nebojsa's mentioning that numbers are growing, but somehow saturating. So anyway, so what we had before in our IT industry is service industry. But the next step has to be introducing our own products. It will be extremely difficult to sell outsourcing anymore. It is extremely difficult to explain to somebody that he has to pay for our excellent developer $60 per hour. And is he or she 3 times better than an Indian developer for $20 per hour? It makes big problems to IT companies who have to have people who are waiting for jobs, and it's difficult. The next step is making our own products. And how you make your own products, you make a startup, and then you just try to see whether that product is good enough for the market at the moment. So it's good to have that. So I'm very glad to meet finally Nebojs in person, and he's doing an excellent job. And about how so I see my students now, but I also have a very good experience in many years. So some of my students are grown up now, just they do big jobs. And one should know that when I started, one computer we had at our department used punch cards. In between, computer science as science started to exist. 30 years, so I work 30 plus years. So 30 years ago, nobody knew what computer science would be, and internet started to exist. So it's very difficult to find out what will happen in 30 years from this moment. And when I teach to my students, so I have to say, I do not teach computer science. I teach mathematics, statistics. I try to help them to have a larger picture, to understand concepts which are important. And I really believe, there is a big discussion. Should you study computer science or IT on university, or you should go through the courses? Well, that's the wrong question. The question is, what should I learn? And what should I learn is basic concept, completely understand your expertise, and then be open to some other fields. So if you are an IT expert who cannot speak with somebody from biosciences, then that's difficult. If you are an IT expert who doesn't know anything about how news are made, then you have a big problem. So if you allow me to be personal, just I'm very sorry, it's not my phrase, but it's an excellent. So when my son started to apply for jobs, and he passed several rounds of interview for Goldman Sachs, at the end he met the guy, so MD of engineering department covering Asia and Asia Pacific region. And at the end of the conversation, he told him, the problem is that everybody would like to be full stack engineers, front end, back end, everything in between. What I'm looking for, so I will tell his name because it's an excellent phrase. His name is Faisal Shamsi. He told, I need deep stack engineers who deeply, profoundly understand their field of expertise and who are open to cooperate with other people. So I think that we here in this region, because we have to go from that service industry to making our own products, we have to have deep stack engineers. And to be deep stack engineer, you have to understand big, important key concepts. If you start to work in a company, they will have time to explain you new technology. But if they have to explain you core concepts, then you're not useful. So I have to say, so I enjoy my job for many years. I've learned from my students quite a lot, and I enjoy to see that big jumps are happening in many areas. I think next step is to introduce people who did not have education in IT to learn a bit IT, to help us to make new products and to sell it. So.
Yasmina, if I can jump in,
please, yes.
Because it's really exciting what Professor was talking about, and my trumpet is startup, so I fully and heartily agree that we need to make products, and that's what startups are all about. So that I can only support what Professor is saying. But on the other side, one thing is kind of interesting development. Even though Professor is right about price points regarding the services, there is this geopolitical development that is driving nearshoring, as they are calling it now, to the unbelievable extremes. And one big opportunity of this region is this nearshoring. One of the vice presidents of the big corporations that I don't want to mention right now have two titles. One is vice president of software, another one is vice president of nearshoring. So it tells you how the corporations are thinking about software, expecting that supply chain, even for software people, would have disruption. They want to bring supply chains for everything close to the continent. And that's why I think, even though 60 is much bigger than 20, I agree, and it's hard to justify, as the professor explained, this development is kind of playing in our favor for good or for bad. And I think that I do believe that our services industry needs to broaden the markets because it's working dominantly with Europe and United States. So it needs to work more with Asia. But I do believe that for a decade or so, it will continue growing strong, especially if it adapts because of everything that happened in the West Coast to new markets. Then they're going to do the blast. And of course, everything else I fully support, especially the last part of needing non-tech people to join startups so that we have domain expertise so we can make exciting products for, wide audience.
And maybe should just one more question because you will go out of the call. What do you think about this very interesting situation now in Serbia? Because a lot of Russian companies entered our market and developers company and Ukrainian companies. So how do you think that will change the landscape here?
So people from this area are with us already now year and a half. Their knowledge is unbelievable. Some of the industries they're covering, we never even heard about it. Technology stack is really great. They're slowly starting to mix, and the knowledge is kind of going from their side to our side. And that's the thing. That sense, I feel it. That is a very positive thing. So from that mixing, good things will come out. Unfortunately, for last year or so, about 10,000 or more of IT people from Russia and Ukraine kind of live on their own with us being aware that they are there and they're being in Serbia.
Without mixing.
Exactly. But, it takes time to adjust. These people had a lot going on. And now we see more and more events where, it's a mixed participation. And some of the knowledge they have, it's really amazing. So in that sense, I think they're going to improve the overall knowledge in the market.
Yeah, but do you think that they will, just jump into our market, or they will stay just physically to be here and do their job
in general, IT is physically present in Serbia, but business is abroad. It's not just for them. It's for most of the IT scene. Small pieces of IT industry are actually doing something in Serbia. Most of it is outside for international markets, for international customers. The same is the case for all the Russian and Ukrainian companies I met. I haven't seen a single one who had interest in developing product or services for the market.
Yeah. Okay, so it will be interesting to see.
If I may, we should not just think about people who are already engineers so their children are already here. So I've seen quite a lot of students coming from Russia, Ukraine, who are very well educated and who are studying now computer science or IT here. So I think that will be an amazing influence, which we'll feel in 5 years from this moment. Because they mingle with our students, they exchange things. When you go to university, then it's maybe more, even equally important, what you learn from your colleagues, especially in IT. So in the same level as from what you will learn from your professors. So I think that we will see that influence in 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I think we all agree. Just let's wait for those years to come and see how the present business day will change. So I would like now to welcome Mirjana. Hello, and welcome to the panel. She joined us.
Hi to everybody.
Hello. But first of all, I would like to include Helena now in the conversation and to ask her, what is your reflection about the things that we talked about right now regarding the startups in Serbia? How's the situation in Croatia and the region?
Yes, thank you, Jasmina. It's very great to be here among these distinguished guests and participating in this panel. Thank you for calling for me. So Croatia's startup scene is definitely growing and it's vibrant, it's living. I would like to refer to some points that Nebojša was talking. in my work with startups in the past 5 years as a lead of Women in Tech movement here in Croatia, and also as the director of Business Angel Investment Forum here in Croatia, working with VCs and especially focusing on startups that make an impact, and developing some financial support and seed funding for those startups. Sometimes I think, and what I feel in the startup scene is that pumping too much money into startups just drives them away from their primary mission when it comes to entrepreneurship, is to solve problems. Often what I see in the startup scene is that they just pump the numbers, get some traction, sell the company and move on. And that's okay, that's a viable business model. I have nothing against it. But something has shifted in the past year or so when Feels Good as a VC funding impact startups entered the market in Croatia and Slovenia, because and we work together with Feels Good as a VC, and even developing a new financial mechanism to blend the financing from VC and business angels into impact startups in this very early stages. Is that I think that we have started talking more about how impact and profit go together. So how you can solve problems, be an entrepreneur, deliver some value to the market, and also deliver value to your investors. And let's not forget that the best investor is definitely your buyer. So that's something that we always say to our startups. It's okay to talk to investors to get funding, but you really need to pay attention to your customers who are buying your product and service, and you are doing that for them. So that is something that we are trying to do, and I definitely agree with Nebojša, but something that I fear is that we're going to get a flood of startups that will die and that will lose the money if they don't start thinking like an entrepreneur. It's okay, I like the game. I always say, you know, try, fail, try again, do it, repeat. That's definitely okay. But I think that we really, on this side of supporting startups and the VCs and the startups, really need to be more responsible when thinking about our businesses. Going back to something that Professor Dušanka also said, that we need more non-tech people in the tech scene. I couldn't agree more. I would like to make an example of the region where I work. So I'm the head of the business incubator in Krapina-Zagorje County. That's the northern part of Croatia, neighboring with Slovenia. We have seen, and even our national policy said, that this region will attract investments into health industry. And we have very good resources in the health industry in the northern part of Croatia. And the region has decided, and this incubator that I am the head of, we really decided to build the capacities of people working in the health industry, but non-tech people working in the health industry, understanding the tech, and also supporting startups in the health and biotech industry that Nebojša also said. And definitely somehow building a bridge between startups and hospitals to test their products and services, because we do have startups in the health tech that have concrete products and services developed on their own, just to enter the hospitals, and so that the hospital can be a test bed for their products and services. So that are the three main pillars that we are focusing on now when it comes to health tech industry. So we have started 2 years ago. It's called the Health IT Academy. It's oriented towards unemployed people registered on the employment service that have no or some background in IT. And
Helena, sorry, just 1 second, because I would just like, it's almost 10:30. I would just like to say hi to Nebusha and to thank him. Thank you very much for being today with us.
If you give me a few parting words, I have to respond to Helena. So impact investing, it's a high level of conscience at this point for us. I have to admit, even I followed the fund that you mentioned, and it's kind of interesting to see how it developed, especially in our region. On the other side, regarding the money, we needed to maybe a little bit overdo it in order to erase that fear. It's not worth trying because there is no money. We faced the serial grantists, as we call them, and fought them very hard, making sure that people don't just take money from the grant and actually don't do anything. So we are now at the stage where I do believe that entrepreneurship is something that's important. We fought this cultural bias of entrepreneurship is not for us. Now we're fighting this cultural bias of sales is not, the salesmen are not bad people. So a lot of things need to be changed versus the grain, let's put it that way, in the region. But it's developing, as you attest, with this impact. That's for at least us, next frontier. So things are developing overall, and it's fun to watch. And I apologize again for having to step out, and really had a exciting time this half an hour. Enjoy the rest of the conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, Helena, yes, please, can you continue now? Yeah.
Going back to the Health IT Academy. So just to go forward. So 20 people from the registered unemployed people on employment service go into our 5-month program. They are developing their basic skills when it comes to programming or software testing or IT analysts. But what we do, it's not just enough, as Professor Dushenka said, to get them those skills. So we are not certified at any level, we just teach them, get them some skills. But what we saw, if we want to push them into the health industry, they have to understand the system, how this health system works. So we've partnered up with about 20 partners, hospitals, big IT companies delivering some softwares or products for the health industry, some startups working in the AI in the region. So they come and also give some lectures to them on how the system works, what are the needs within the system. Hospitals and healthcare providers often talk about their problems, because we want to teach those people, problems are also the opportunities where you step in. So that's your business. So you have to offer the solution to those problems, whether if you go and get a job within the institution or healthcare providers, whether you go into an IT company or you found your own startups, you're going to deliver some solutions. So with these technical skills, we teach them about IT, we teach them about the system, how it works, we show them problems, and then we give them the tools to act as intrapreneurs or entrepreneurs, whether what they choose. Yeah, so we have, in the first generation, we had 20 people attending, 50% of them got employed in one of our partner institutions. Some of them founded their own startups and struggling on the market. And now we have started our second generation. Also 25 people joined us in this course. We have even more partners. So I'm very happy to see how these people will find their place on the market.
Great. So a lot of activities, and while listening to you, I was thinking about how human all these digital initiatives must be, not only can be, but they must be human, and they must have a very good human purpose. Otherwise, no matter how fancy startup is or how fancy the surrounding is.
If I just may add, there's a lot of buzz about Industry 4.0 and this AI coming and this new industrial era. But what we are missing is, and I see the rumors on some, or some outliers on Industry 5.0, that's bringing the human in, it's human-centric industry revolution. Because yes, we will have all those tools, but if we don't have a human in the eye of the storm, then definitely something will go wrong.
Yeah. And we will go to our next very important theme. It's artificial intelligence, because not only that it's a buzz word and context, it's actually a part of our daily life and daily work. So, but before that, I would just like to mention that we have a poll running from the actually beginning of our panel. And the question is, which tech skills do you believe will be most in demanding in the Adriatic region in the next 5 years? And the proposed answers are AI and machine learning, cybersecurity, data science and analytics, web and app development, and cloud computing. Personally, I would say all of them will be very important and dominant, but we will see the results of the poll at the end of our panel, and so that we can have a short discussion about the results. So now I would like to give a floor to our colleague and my dear friend Mirjana Trobok. So it's very great to have you here.
Thank you, Jasmina.
And thank you for joining. So I would like to hear from your perspective. You heard what we talked so far, and this is actually the topic that it's so broad, and we can have subtopics as much as we like. But just to stay focused in another 25 minutes, I would like to hear from you. What is your view on the present state of on the present working platforms in Serbia regarding software development and IT in the broadest sense of meaning? So how do you think, how do we stand compared to Europe and America or whatever developed other region in the world?
Okay, because I heard a bit of talk what Professor Dušanka shared, and also Nebojša, I would first like to say that I couldn't agree more that nowadays the engineers, it's not about making a code and doing your daily job. It's really about solving the problems of the business. And okay, I come from a service industry. I don't think it's necessarily needs to be product company that you are solving the business, giving the solution in terms of that product that you are building within a product company. It can be also that somebody who has a challenge or a problem or that comes to you as a service company, and then you are the one who should solve it. And I think that we should move away from talking, is this technology or that technology? We should talk about the solutions and how we can make those solutions in the best possible way and in the most fastest way. And I think that is a kind of shift in a mindset, because in the past few years, especially 2020, 2021, there was a plenty of work in IT, and actually all the companies had much bigger demand for employees than then there were people on a labor market. And I think that also that's kind of thing that brought also to the people that, okay, I'm kind of, it's all given to me.
Yeah.
I know this framing or that framework, and then I'm there just, I will just do code and whatever anybody tells me. But I think that the time changed, and it's kind of due to the prices, also the credits are more expensive. For funding, what Helena was mentioning, it's very hard. It's much harder to get fundings these days. It's not that you just have a nice idea and people give you a bunch of money, and then
Yeah.
and now the thing is that those fund investors are coming back and asking, where are you with what you promised? And then you need to change the mindset and really think about how you can provide the value, not just code itself. And I think that this is for us as a region very challenging, because somehow I think that most of the people are like hands on the keyboards, and they are not really thinking about the broader context, or not having enough knowledge to think about that. And I think this is necessary to be changed. I really like that we have more startups coming in here. Also, what was mentioned with the Russians and Ukrainians coming here, it could be opportunity for us to change this mindset faster, to get some knowledge for how those companies are doing that. But what I'm still afraid, at least in those startups, that all decisions are made somewhere abroad, and that still we are just workers who are doing the regular job. And I think this is something that we need to level up. Really, that we should take more ownership and the courage, and really learn from those. And to refer about this Russian and the Ukrainian, I do agree that we are still isolated. I remember, well, it was a year, more than a year ago, when they started coming in, that I was thinking, okay, this will be great, because it's just very artificial situation that you get such big number of highly educated people and highly talented who came here at once, all of them and all those companies, and that we can benefit from that, because it's quite a different market than ours. They're having a lot of startups which were locally developed, etc., and Russia is a huge country, so it's the market is huge.
Yeah.
Me personally, I just saw few occasions when we could interact. So we are just living it isolated, and I think that we should, as a country, or some initiatives like Nebojša is leading, encourage this mixing, because I'm sure they can benefit from us, but I'm sure that we can also benefit from their knowledge and what they brought with themselves here.
Yeah, that would be the best scenario to have the win-win situation for the both parts. So thank you, Mirina, for these inputs. I would like to talk with you later about the activities of your company that are really great, and what are you doing actually, and what do you think about the artificial intelligence usage and how it will change our daily work. But now for Dušanka, also for Professor Dušanka, AI, what do you think? What will be the main obstacles and the main advantages in the future?
Well, I think that AI is a great thing. I think it's a great thing.
I agree.
But also we should be aware that AI sometimes hallucinate. So, which means that we really need people to understand concept and to improve AI. Or, in 30 years from now, AI might become like internet is nowadays. So nobody says, oh, there is electricity, there is internet connection. If there is not, then everybody thinks, oh. So I think AI will find its place in that ecosystem of IT. What I think is important, what Mirjana told, she mentioned product ownership.
Yeah.
So I think the next step, maybe it was, it's not just are you in service industry or are you startup? The question is, are you a product owner? So in the sense, as a company, because if you are a product owner, then you can sell something about AI. So Microsoft produced, that's AI, which is now open, is third version of the.
Yeah. Yeah, we are missing Dushanka now. Okay. Maybe the AI is making fun with us right now. Yeah. Okay. Until she
yeah, maybe I can step in.
Yeah, please do.
Well, I definitely think that the AI is something that's here, not coming, it's here. So
yeah, for sure.
It's like phone in first phones in households, it's here. So but you can always choose to use it or not to use it. There's a big debate on ethics in AI, and I really do think that again, people use the tools. So, or let's say, guns don't kill people. People kill people with the guns. So, you can also use AI to do good or to do bad. So I hope that this consciousness and not being afraid of the AI will definitely open the space on discussions on how to use AI for the better. And we see a lot of good examples on how AI can help save lives, literally. I was talking about health industry, so that's a great example. So I think that we have to push the talks into giving more good examples than just talking about bad examples. Definitely, let's talk about the ethics. What I mean, look at what the UK is doing just to attract the talent to develop AI. They're loosening their laws and regulations so that some shift of companies dealing with AI could begin from even the USA, that's tightening the regulation, just as the EU, so that they can come to the UK and Great Britain to develop their businesses further. So
if you can hear me, I would like to give, I would like to give, I don't know, have you heard me or not, because there was some interruption, but good example of IE. So Google has a laboratory, and one of the big project of IE, I've heard that from Jeff, who is the chief of IE in Google. So they wanted to help in India to detect some kind of eye disease. So they do not have enough people who will check everybody. So the idea is, could we just make an image and then be able to see which of patients should be re-examined and so on. So the problem is difficult because if you show the same picture to the same expert twice, he may just say, oh, it is level A or it's level B. Things changed. Everything was nice. They were able to produce a product which now works in India. And he told me about the story. He invited in an internship a person who is a medical doctor. Okay. And he told her, okay, maybe you can play with AI and try to see whether it can guess is the patient male or female. And they expected that AI will just say 50-50, just flipping coins. And she returned back and told them, oh, you know, my results are 70% accurate. And people from Google were not sure. So you have some problem with the software. Okay, she returned back, okay, 95% accuracy. So some data human eye cannot recognize is hidden in the picture. So we should use it. You know, people were afraid about motor cars, which are very fast. They were afraid of many things. So we should try to live with that. So electricity was a huge problem. So we should not be afraid. And I would like to ask a question to Helena, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Even though it's a bit late, maybe. Do you have the numbers? How successful were those new small companies, starts up, comparing to results in EU. So in our region and in EU, it seems to me that it is normal that many of them are failed. And
I agree, definitely. I mean, the survival rate of the startups in Croatia is about maybe 30%. So 30% of them survive beyond 3 years.
it seems to be a very good result.
It's good, but it's normal to fail. Definitely, it's normal to fail, and that's something I always say. You know, just start again. There's always a lesson from every failure or success. But when talking about why, I always try to, when working with startups, I always try to somehow challenge them to think why they are building their startup. Is it to get funded? Is it to get a lot of money, grow, sell, go, or just to really do a business there? Because sometimes there's a lot of hype when you're a startup in Croatia. So you're a startup, it automatically means you're going after business angels and VCs. That's not the case. So a startup, whether it's a team of people or a company or a limited liability company, there's always different paths you can choose. For some startup, it's best to just grow organically, step by step, and don't get married with a business angel or VC, because then, yeah, for sometimes it's better. I've worked with startups that declined very generous offers from VCs because that wasn't their path.
You know, one never
chosen.
knows. One never knows what is useful. Nowadays, so about AI once again.
Yeah.
That version of AI we see now, Microsoft AI, is the third version. So they invested money, failed. They invested money, failed. They invested money, success. So I can imagine Levi 9 doing the same thing. And also, once again, about the example from Asia, I don't know whether you know, but Microsoft now keeps all the data we have. And it's, even though it is easy to store it somewhere, the problem is it will become huge. So what now Microsoft gives money in Asia, in Singapore precisely, and also in United States. They employ people who are expert in genetics and try to store data in artificial DNA. So what I'm looking for is to see in so-called our region. So, you know, when you go abroad and you meet somebody from our region, they say, oh, naši. So a friend of mine who is French told me, you know, it took me many years to understand what does naši means. So I expect that naši, so people from our region, will try to put some our money into those small ideas, into students' project, to see what will happen. First version fail, second version fail. At least they will have a future employee who failed twice, and now they will be successful third time or fifth or just
but if I may add here, I think it's generally changing the mindset of this region, Balkan region. We are not having the history of being entrepreneurs. When I look, for example, my company comes from Netherlands. Everybody there wants to be entrepreneur because they are traders back in histories. Their grandfathers were traders and they're used to do business. We need to do some kind of fast learning for everybody, so that we have this culture of starting things and failing at the things, and starting all over again. And I think this is a kind of, for us as a region, as a culturally challenge. It's not only the, okay, let's make startup. It's also that you need to shift in the mindset how you are approaching these things. But also on the other hand, I wanted to say, Helena was mentioning about the success rate. I'm even surprised that it's 30%. Okay, it depends how you calculate what success means. Yeah. I would expect that it's lower than 10, because to me at some point, having a startup seemed like having a rock band in 80s. So it's kind of, everybody wants to have, has some minor idea and they want to have a startup because it's cool. And you're, I don't know, cool to the girls or whatever when you have a startup. And this is very hard then to distinguish who are people really willing to invest their efforts, money, etc., in order to solve certain problem and really build the business, or they are just having fun, or they are just looking for big money in a short period of time, because at one point that was kind of possible if you were wise to do so.
As I said at the beginning, it's a so broad topic that we could really talk for hours, and but unfortunately we have only 5 minutes more. So I would like to take opportunity to give you the answers of our poll. So 45 of our attendees said that AI and machine learning will be the most in demand in the Adriatic region in the next 5 years. Cybersecurity 27%, data science and analytics also 27%, and that's it. So it's a fair division of our pools. So yeah, we live in these times where AI is really reshaping our daily work. I can tell that for sure for media business as well. We are using so many softwares, so many tools, but the problem of ethics that Helena mentioned, and I'm sure we're all thinking about the same thing. The problem of ethics in the usage of AI is really something like a cloud above our heads. So I'm strongly in the line of those media professionals that think that every kind of usage of artificial intelligence in creating a content in any kind of media organization must be pointed out to the audience. So we can't just use, chatbot for writing some story and then say at the top of the article, Jasmina Koprivica is the author. No, Jasmina Koprivica, but / with the usage of AI software, this content or piece of content was created. So I'm like pro for that kind of future, and I really hope that, it's a people's job. So it's our job to do that kind of legislation and just to sit on the table and say, okay, we will do that fairly. So what would you like at the end? Would you like to give us just one brief sentence from each of us, from each of you, for a conclusion of this talk today? Helena, would you like to be the first?
Yeah, one brief sentence, and I would just say, go out, play,
Let's
explore.
make it 2.
Yeah, go out, play, explore, use tech, do good, build your business, and be happy. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, Dušanka, what can you tell us at the end of this conversation? What do you think it will be the something that people will carry from this 1 hour talk? And we don't hear you. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, you're muted.
The future will be challenging, but also nice and bright. And there will be failure, there will be successes, and so I wish all of you a very good day and very good next 30 years in doing what you do. So
okay,
that's all.
And thank you very much, Mirjana.
Well, once I heard at one training that there was always change, like always something was changing. But what's challenging today, it's a pace of change. it's actually, the things are changing much faster than they were changing, like, let's say 30 years ago. And this is what really makes our lives more complex, and that you need to be able to adjust and to learn new stuff, and actually that you expect that whole of your life you will need to be capable to adapt. I would say to people, let's think maybe how life will look like in 5 years, and start preparing now, because this is the last moment when you should start preparing how it will, so that you are ready for what is coming.
Yeah, for what's coming in 5 years. Okay, in that spirit, I would like to thank you, and to thank you very much for joining us today on this event. And I hope to see you on some other great event, and in live life as well. So thank you once again, and have a very great and successful business week.
Thank you.
Thank you.